She snapped, "You have no right to touch my phone. I need my own space." I just nodded. Fine. I was trying to find her best friend's number to ask which color Hermes bag she'd like as a gift, but she got upset and went to lunch with her ex. When she came back, she suddenly screamed, "You have no right to touch my phone. I need my own space." She said it fast and loud. I froze, phone still in hand. I hadn't opened anything. I just wanted her best friend's number to ask about the Hermes bag color. That was it. Nothing else. She grabbed the phone back and held it against her chest like I was some kind of threat. I didn't argue. I didn't raise my voice. I just said, "Fine." Her reaction didn't make sense. This wasn't how someone acts if their phone is accidentally touched. It felt rehearsed, defensive, immediate, as if she expected it. I didn't want to assume anything. I didn't want to repeat the mistakes she always said her ex had made, accusing her, doubting her, monitoring her. I had promised myself I wouldn't become that person. The way she looked told me something was already wrong, long before I touched her phone. This was just the first sign. Before all this, things were simple. We spent evenings together, cooked at home, went out on weekends, shared playlists and planned trips. She said her ex was controlling, and being with me made her feel safe. I believed her. I thought we had something stable, without games. In the last few weeks, her behavior changed. She kept her phone face down, turned off notifications and changed her passcode. We used to unlock each other's phones freely. I said nothing at first. I didn't want to intrude. Then she became easily startled. If I walked into a room while she was texting, she would lock her phone instantly and move it to her lap. If I passed behind her on the couch, she would angle the screen away as if she were hiding a password. None of this matched the way she used to act. I tried convincing myself there were harmless explanations. Maybe work issues, maybe private conversations with friends, maybe anxiety. I reminded myself that her past relationship had left scars, and I didn't want to add pressure. But the small changes kept stacking up. Some nights she stayed awake longer than usual, scrolling with her brightness almost at zero. Other times she took calls in the hallway and returned with vague explanations like, "just a friend," or "not important." My friends noticed too. They didn't accuse her of anything directly, but comments slipped out. "Your girlfriend seems distant lately. Is everything okay between you two? She acts weird when you're not looking." I always defended her. I told them she was stressed. I told them to stop assuming things. I told them relationships had ups and downs. And I meant it. I didn't want to believe anything was wrong. Even so, the doubts began forming whether I liked it or not. Not because of jealousy, but because the changes were too consistent to ignore. I didn't confront her because I didn't want her to feel judged or cornered. Instead, I tried to show her that I was there. If she needed to talk, she always said she was fine. When our anniversary was coming up, I thought maybe a thoughtful gift would bring us closer again. She had once said owning a Hermes bag was a long-term dream of hers. I saved for months and planned to surprise her. I only needed a second opinion on the color, which was why I reached for her phone that morning. Not to check her messages, just to get her best friend's contact because I didn't have it saved. Her reaction, though, made something inside me pause. She wasn't confused, she wasn't surprised. She was ready, like she expected someone to catch her doing something. And maybe that wasn't fair for me to think, but it was the first time the possibility crossed my mind in a serious way. I didn't jump to conclusions. I apologized even though I hadn't done anything wrong. She stayed distant all morning, no explanation, just short answers and silence. At that point, I still hoped it was just stress. I hoped the fight would fade. I hoped she would relax and tell me what had been bothering her. I hoped she would trust me the way she said she once did. But that day became the turning point. Everything after it started unraveling faster than I could keep up. The day after the phone incident felt strange. We weren't fighting out loud, but everything between us was stiff. She made coffee without asking if I wanted any, something she normally did automatically. When I said good morning, she replied with a flat "morning," eyes still on her screen. Around noon, she suddenly said, "I'm going out for lunch." "With who?" I asked, trying to keep my tone neutral. "A friend," she said, grabbing her bag. "Which friend?" She sighed, already annoyed. "Does it matter?" "It kind of does when we just argued yesterday." She didn't even pause. Stop reading into everything, I'll be back later. Then she left. I tried brushing it off until I got a message from a guy I knew from the gym. Think I saw your girl at lunch with her ex. Not sure if you care, but thought you should know. My stomach dropped, but I forced myself not to react. I forced myself not to panic. Maybe it's someone else, I typed. He replied, maybe, just saying what I saw. I didn't want to believe it. I didn't want to become paranoid. So I waited for her to come home, hoping she'd tell me the truth on her own. When she walked through the door, I asked casually, "Lunch okay?" "Yeah." "Who'd you meet?" "A co-worker," she said quickly. That didn't match what she'd said earlier. "You didn't say co-worker before." She shrugged. "I didn't think I needed to give a detailed report." "I'm not asking for a report, I just want clarity." "Then stop assuming I'm hiding something," she snapped. I let it drop. Pushing her wouldn't get me answers. The next day I got another message, this time from my cousin who worked at a cafe across town. "Your girlfriend is here with a guy. Think it's her ex. Don't want to jump to conclusions, but it looks close." My heart sank. I called him immediately. "Tell me exactly what you're seeing." He spoke quietly. "They're sitting next to each other." He leaned in to say something and she didn't move away. When she got up, it looked like a quick hug or cheek kiss. Nothing extreme, but not friendly. I sat there silently. "You want me to stop looking?" he asked. "Yeah," I said, "don't watch them, just forget it." After the call, I just stared at my own reflection in the car window. I didn't feel angry, more like someone had unplugged something inside me. When she came home that night, she acted normal, maybe too normal. "Hey," she said, like nothing was off. "Hey," I replied. We ate dinner quietly. I tried to keep calm. "What did you do today?" I asked. She answered briefly, avoiding eye contact. "Work," she answered. "Same as usual." "That's all?" "Yeah, why?" She didn't look up from her plate. "No reason." Because if I said the real reason, I'd be forcing her to lie directly to my face. And if she didn't flinch, I wasn't sure what that would do to me. The next morning, I couldn't pretend anymore. I wasn't going to wait for a confession she clearly didn't want to give. So while she was on a call in the bedroom, I packed my clothes. I folded them carefully, put them into 2 suitcases, and zipped them up. I put the Hermes box on the table and left. I didn't take it with me. I was still upset, but I stayed calm. The gift didn't match the situation anymore. I wrote a short note. "If you want to leave, I won't stop you. I'm stepping back, you know why." I didn't accuse her, I just removed myself. I left the key on the counter, locked the door from the outside, and headed to a temporary apartment. My hands were steady the whole time. That scared me more than anger would have. I didn't text her. She didn't text me either, not for hours. When she finally did, the message was short. "Where are you?" I didn't answer. Another message. "What's going on?" I still didn't reply. If she wanted to explain, she would. If she wanted to admit what she'd been doing, she could. But I wasn't going to pull the truth out of her. I told myself I just needed space. But deep down, I already knew the relationship had shifted into a place where trust wasn't returning easily. Maybe not at all. What I didn't know was that things were about to twist even harder, in a direction I didn't expect, and in a way that proved we were both wrong about more than we realized. 2 days after our blow-up, she became strangely polite, not affectionate, just controlled, as if rehearsing every sentence before speaking. That alone told me something had shifted. That evening, while she showered, her tablet buzzed on the table. I wasn't trying to snoop, but the preview popped up clearly. "He said Saturday works. We'll talk then, don't worry." No name, no details, but it was enough. When she came out, I asked, "You planning something for Saturday?" She paused only a moment. "Just errands." I didn't push. I wanted the truth to come from her, not from confrontation. The next morning, her sister texted me out of nowhere. "Can you pick up something for Mom's birthday, since you two might not be around each other much longer?" My fingers froze. Taking a break, I typed, confused. I called her sister. "What do you mean by that?" I asked. She sighed. "Look, she shouldn't have dragged us into this, but she said you two are taking a break. I thought you knew." My stomach dropped. "She told you that?" "Yes. She said things were basically over." When I hung up, I sat there for a long minute, realizing she had already rewritten the narrative to everyone else, while pretending to work things out at home. When she came home that night, I asked directly, "Did you tell your family we're taking a break?" She stiffened. "That's not exactly what I said." "What did you say?" "That things are complicated, and that we're basically over." She folded her arms. "I needed support. I didn't think you'd care who I talked to." I didn't yell. I just said, "So you're planning to end things?" She didn't answer, just looked away. That silence told me everything. Saturday came. She dressed nicer than usual, spritzed perfume she only used on special occasions, then said casually, "I'm going out for a bit." "To run errands?" I asked. She nodded without meeting my eyes. After she left, I did something I hadn't planned. I called her sister to ask, not to spy, just to understand what had happened. Her sister looked startled when I arrived. "She's not here," she said. "Isn't she with you?" That was the moment her sister realized something was off too. "Wait, she told me she was meeting you today." I just shook my head. Her sister bit her lip. "I think she's meeting him, her ex. She mentioned they needed closure. I thought you knew. I swear I thought you two agreed on this." I thanked her and left. I stayed home. I didn't chase her, didn't go out, didn't call. I just waited and tried to calm myself. She returned around sunset. She walked in with a soft, careful tone. "Hey, sorry I'm late." I didn't match her softness. "Did you get your closure today?" Her face froze. "What are you talking about?" "Your sister told me." She set down her keys slowly. "I didn't want to tell you yet." "Yet? So it was planned, days ago?" She exhaled. "Yes, I met him. I needed clarity." "Did you get it?" I asked. She hesitated, then nodded. We talked about everything, the past, what went wrong. I felt something inside me go quiet. She wasn't even pretending anymore. Then came the real twist, the part she clearly rehearsed. "I think we should separate for a while," she said. "I need time, space to figure out what I want and what we are." There it was. She had been setting this up behind the scenes while acting conflicted at home. She'd told her family before telling me. She'd met her ex before talking to me. She'd made all her moves quietly, waiting for the right moment. I asked one last question. "Is there someone else?" She answered too quickly. "No." Then softer. "Not in the way you think." That single line hit harder than anything else. Not a denial, just a blurred confession. I nodded. "Okay, if you want space, you'll have it." She looked startled, almost offended that I didn't fight. "You're not even going to discuss this?" "There's nothing to discuss. You already made your decision before tonight." For the first time in weeks, she didn't have a response. She just stood there realizing I'd finally seen the full picture she had been hiding. And that's when I understood. The twist wasn't that she might go back to her ex. The twist was that I wasn't even part of the conversation anymore. She had already moved the pieces, and I was only just catching up. She left the apartment that night without another word. I didn't chase her. I just closed the door behind her and let it click. For the first time in months, the place was quiet. The Hermes bag still sat on the table, untouched. I stared at it for a while before moving it to the closet, unsentimental, but I couldn't give it to her anymore. In the days that followed, she called a few times. Short messages, explanations, apologies. Each one made my chest tighten, but none of them moved me. I had learned that no amount of words could erase the months of doubt, the repeated misunderstandings, or the decisions she had already made without me. I saw her in town a week later, sitting outside a cafe looking small and unsure. Part of me wanted to approach her, to explain the real story about the Hermes bag, to tell her everything had been a misunderstanding. But I stayed back. I had learned something crucial. Love is not enough when trust has been broken, even unintentionally. She reached out to her best friend later that week. I heard through the grapevine that she had spent hours on the phone, apologizing, explaining, realizing how much she had hurt me. I wanted to feel relief, but all I felt was emptiness. I moved into a smaller apartment across town. My life returned to routine, work, errands, small errands that no longer included her. I gave the Hermes bag away to someone who would appreciate it. No sentiment, no lingering what-ifs. It was a way to close the chapter. At night, sometimes I remembered how she used to laugh at small jokes, how she would glance at me when she thought I wasn't noticing. And then I remembered the phone incident, the texts, the lunch with her ex that never happened, and the misunderstandings stacked up like a wall I could never climb. I realized love needs honesty, trust, and clarity. I gave her space, but it became hiding. I tried to trust her, but trust can't survive deliberate secrecy, even if innocent. I still felt pain, but it was no longer sharp. It had dulled into clarity. I would not go back, I would not explain further. Some things are better left in the past. And the lesson remained. Loving someone is not enough if either side refuses transparency. Trust cannot be rebuilt from assumptions and silence. I closed the door on that chapter, and for the first time the silence in my apartment felt like freedom rather than absence.